Good evening. Welcome back to In the Khud. This is 1st May 2023, 6:54 p.m. and it's been kind of like a very dull, very sad, rather depressing day. And I was just thinking about this before recording. For the past 2 years, I've been so accustomed to having constant input and constant work at all times through the full-time job, because of the nature of the work there. Working in an agency environment, there's always input and always something or to work on, or some kind of thing that you have to do, or people asking for something from you. When you take that out, it leaves like a void which I don't quite understand. And the closest I can get to making sense of this idea is I was watching this podcast of Jay Shetty with Trevor Noah. You can just search online, Trevor Noah Jay Shetty podcast on purpose. And there he talks about how when a performer is performing, and he's a comedian, he is giving all of his energy to the audience, and the audience is having fun and they're laughing and they're having a good time. He's given up all his energy, like a one-sided transaction to them, and when they leave, they're all very happy, they're all very content and everything, but he alone is left with a void of energy, like a lot of negative energy, which is why he says that performers and comedians, they end up committing suicide, because that diminishing energy from you, which was once at a very peak high, and all of a sudden is just taken away from you, and you're left with yourself, and your mind is basically left with yourself to like ponder about things. That is very dangerous place to be in. So of course that is an extreme situation. For me is just like, but yeah, I can understand how the wavelength is the same. Having said that, there is 2 things I can document for today's documentation. Yesterday I did not document anything, but primarily what I did yesterday is I figured this one thing out of how I can have a completely custom sort of number counter with a prefix and suffix, right? So if I keep increasing this, you'll see that this increases, and I have the place for decimals, right? If I put over here 0.5, you'll see that it will increase in decimals. It's not. Okay, when you animate it, that's when it increases. So that is that. And if I keep adding numbers here, like let's say I add 3 more numbers, after 3 digits you'll have a comma coming in. You can replace it with anything else as well, and then yep, it's very customizable and everything. Now today morning I got this thing that, you know what, I should just start. Why is on pressing G1 makes this noise? I don't know. Today morning in the part session I got this very strong energy. I get this sometimes, you know, when doing the part in the morning, especially during the Amrit Vela. There's a very strong energy that is riding my mind, and I cannot put my mind on anything else. It's just that throughout, and that energy was like I should just start uploading back on the main channel from tomorrow onwards, so Tuesday, Thursday, and I would start with this number counters thing. But then again I got stuck at one single point here, and that is I want to show how this loop is running, right? There's a for loop here which basically splits the string into individual characters, and then we check increments of 3 and add a comma there, and we do that for 2 if conditions, if the decimal places is less than equal to 0 or if it is greater than 0. And I wanted to somehow show the dry run for this loop, and so I came up with this like composition, and it's a textured loop playing behind, whatever, that's secondary. So I came up with this sort of a dry run situation where this is how the dry run looks. Okay, so yeah, you can see most of it. So if the count is equal to 3, we go into the if loop, and if we check and then we add a comma. Okay, so you see when you have this as input, I had a few things here which I cannot see. Anyway, the point of the matter being, this depicts, like if I was to go and sequentially explain the steps here, you would understand how the for loop and the if loop within the for loop works. My point here is I want this to be an automated thing where I just put the number like I would as an input in this function, and these values here are rigged or coded in such a way that they adjust. And I want all of this to happen through an After Effects script where I can just put the required fields in text boxes, and all of these tables and formation, everything can happen by itself. It's a very ambitious thing right at this point, because I still am figuring things out. Design is fine, that's not a problem, but the actual functionality of it is something I have to work on. And this, for me to make a video about number counters, a lot of people, what they do is they just say you take this reg expression, paste it there, and it will work. There's nothing wrong with it if you just want to get like a quick and dirty job done, but I want to go ahead and explain every single aspect of why this code is running and why it's putting commas after 3 digits and why this is views and prefix and suffix. That's just my style. That's how I want to do things. And also I want to address a few things which on those YouTube videos in the comment section they've said, is this a thing that we can do? And I know we can do it, as a matter of fact. So over here we can have all these controls, and if this can be a Mogart, that will be very, very helpful for editors inside Premiere Pro. You can just drag and drop and adjust things here and there and even animate it. Even though Mogarts don't currently have the functionality to keyframe things, I know like a workaround how you can animate things. So that's where I'm at, and again it just keeps happening. I get this very strong energy of I have to start uploading again, and something like this comes up and I'm like, okay, I'll wait a little more and probably figure this out and then start. It doesn't seem to work this way, like from my own experience in life. inthekhud has been successful because I just kept moving forward without worrying about things, and over time I kept incrementing, and now it's to a point where things are pretty good and it's in a system and everything. That's not the case for my main channel. It's not happening that way, but we'll see how it goes. The second thing I have to document today is just like a few minutes back I installed Blender 3.5 and I got this starter file that they give for hair system, for understanding hair system. So I did understand a little bit of the Blender hair system, and I'm gonna show that a little bit to you. Okay, so this guy didn't have a beard. I added the beard to him. So I'll just show you how that works. Okay, like let's say this is your mesh. Now this is an important thing that over here these are instances, so make instances real. Now once you go to the edit mode, you see that there's a lot of geometry here, and the thing with hair, like any other thing, like a particle system, is you don't want to have a lot of geometry onto which you put things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select a few vertices here, which I think would be the beard area. Don't think this would be needed, but this could be needed. Okay, and this line, now it's doing selected only within the seams because your seam is selected. Okay, it's important to know. Now I'm going to do Shift D and P selection. So now this here I'm going to say beard mesh. Okay, now with this here I'm going to say Shift A curve, add an empty hair, and just straight away jumped into sculpt mode. Now with sculpt mode, the very beautiful thing is you have your brushes on the side. So the most important brush obviously being the add brush. You can come in here and start adding here, something like this. And the thing that I really liked about this new system of hair is that it's very, very intuitive. Like it's just straight up. This is what you would expect to happen, and that's what is actually happening. So that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna add some hair particles right here, and once you've gotten like a base of the hair that you want, then what you can go ahead and do is also add a bit of mustache to him. Now you see how intuitive this is. Maybe I don't have vertices here. Yeah, I do. Okay, I'm gonna just add a few more here. Once you've gotten the base in, you can first just grow and shrink it. Like let's say if I want to grow the whole area and come in here, and I found this grow brush to be very, very powerful, right? Just grow things here, just hold and drag. It will grow things. With control is gonna shrink things. Sorry, madam. And once that is done, the most beautiful brush over here is the comb brush. So you can come in here and comb, and this is exactly what you would expect it to do. You want to press this button here, which prevents the hair from going into the mesh. It's called use sculpt collision. It collides with the sculpt, and yeah, just like that you have some very stylized looking beard, and you could apply this to hair as well. And obviously the mustache won't be standing up like this. Yeah, it's very, very intuitive actually. Just how you would expect it to work. The reason I wanted to learn the system is because for my human generator characters that I'll be using for my 3D projects, I want to be making hair using this system because this looks a lot more, I would say, realistic using geometry nodes and everything rather than the old particle eye system, because the human generator add-on is doing it through particle system if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and then you can use a density brush to just add more density if you like at places. You could add density here, and that's it. If you can come in here and give it a material, there are these materials which are already present in here. So blonde hair, just give this blonde hair, and now this blonde hair beard. The only thing is, if you look at this hair here, this has curly hair to it. I don't know, it just looks a lot more smoother in my opinion. These still look like spikes, so I think you can come in here and use one of these things. So if I say smooth hair curves, it gives you a bit of settings to play with. I am not exactly sure how to play around with them. Or trim hair curves, clump hair, curl hair curves. Okay, this is definitely not what you want for the beard, but yeah, there's a lot of things I have to experiment here. I don't quite know why it's so spiky. Like, how can I make it less spiky and more like hair? Like, even here, this, you see, I did groom it and make it like black hair, but it still kind of looks spiky. But yeah, at the point, this is like my first experimentations with the hair system, and it's pretty good, to be honest. Just have to figure out how to make it smoother and more realistic. But that is all that I had to document. I've hit 12 minutes, and as I said, it's been kind of a sad day, and that's a recurrent thing, to be honest. I have no idea how I'm gonna get to uploading back to YouTube. For what I did today, I figured out a lot of dad's work. And why are all these things down here? Figure out dad's work for the month. Got knee pain after yesterday's run because I sprinted for about 250 meters. All that is fine. I'm just kind of bored at this point. Thanks so much for being in the khud. I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.